it on my page, and I mean, yeah, on the speculative poetry page. For some reason, it doesn't do that anymore.
Hmm.
It will let me do it on my page, which I will still do because then the recording exists in the Facebook universe, right? The recording is there, so the recording is always on Facebook. And we've got one early arriver. Oh, look at who it is. It's Angela Acosta. Okay, but there's one other thing I've got to figure out before I let her in, which is two people in the, okay, there it is, the view. Okay, I currently have the view on gallery. Now it's on speaker. Okay, did your view change?
Mine's the same.
No.
No?
No.
You see all of us?
Yes.
And you don't see me speaking in particular and then you speaking in particular?
No.
Well, that's interesting.
Mine
That's
mine is
fine.
on speaker view.
Right. I put it on speaker view for now because
I put it on speaker view now.
oh, you don't have to. No, I'm just asking because it's interesting to me. I changed the view. I thought I changed it for everybody as the
Right.
host, but obviously I don't.
I believe as the host, you can spotlight someone.
All right. So as the host, I don't know that I want to do that. I have speaker view, or I can do multi-speaker. That's another view. Has it changed for you again?
No, it's the same.
Isn't that funny? So, all right. One other thought about that, and then I'll start letting these people in, is that whatever view I choose, despite what you've said, this is my only second time checking, right? The view I use is what the recording looks like. So even when people have told me, I know, but that's, I'm still not quite understanding that. I'm saying I picked speaker view, but you all were still seeing gallery until you picked speaker view. But I'm saying when I've asked that before, when I see the recording, it shows that view. So what I've got right now is on multiple speaker. And when you do your reading, I'll switch to speaker view. I just think that's nicer when you're looking at the recording. But I also do like people to see that there are people here, looking at you, responding. So for now, it's on multiple speaker. I see where it is. I'm going to admit Angela Acosta. We know her. And Dara rhymes with Sarah. And then we'll wait another minute because I figured I'd give people to 7:05 to arrive. But meanwhile, we'll just say hi to Angela Acosta. Delighted that you're here. And hello also to Dara Rhymes with Sarah. Delighted that you're here. And we're going to start in 1 minute when it's 7:05. And that's great too, because if people are later, they'll miss some of the blah, 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 the absolutely necessary blah, 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 but maybe not as compelling as the readers that we have tonight to hear the introductory blah, blah, blah. And Angela is answering us in chat. Thank you, Angela. And it is now 7:05. So I will begin. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Speculative Sundays poetry reading for Valentine's Day. We are live on Facebook via Zoom. I am Akua Lezli Hope, My pronouns are she, her, speaking to you from the ancestral land of the Onondaga, also known as the Seneca, keepers of the western door in the southern Finger Lakes region of New York State. I pay homage to the Seneca, past, present, and future, and to my own ancestors, by whose grace I exist and am sustained. The series was made possible in part by the Artist Development Grant Program administered by the Arts Council of the Southern Finger Lakes and funded by the Community Foundation of Elmira Corning and Finger Lakes Incorporated. It was later funded in part by poets and writers with public funds from the New York State Council on the Arts with the support of the New York State Legislature. And this year, the statewide Community Re-Grant Program, a re-grant program of the New York State Council on the Arts with the support of the Office of the Governor and the New York State Legislature, and administered by the Arts Council of the Southern Finger Lakes, enables us to be here for free for you and me. Thank you. This reading is being recorded, so if you've got concerns, please turn your camera off. Inaugurated in September 2020, the series seeks to remediate the lack of presentations of speculative poetry by its living creators. Now completing its 5th year, the Speculative Sundays Poetry Reading Series has presented 40 hour-long events, including 50 poet readings. What is speculative poetry, you say? Well, speculative poetry, ancient of days, older than the flood, the poetry of possibilities, centers the imagined as real. The first recorded human literature was speculative verse. Gilgamesh, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Iliad and the Odyssey, and Beowulf are ancient exemplars. Speculative poetry includes alternate history, astropoetry, cryptids, cyberpunk, dystopian, fabulism, fairytales, fantasy, folklore, futurism, horror, magic, monsters, mythology, occult, paranormal, robots, science fiction, shifters, slipstream, solar punk, solar funk, space opera, superhero, supernatural, sword and sorcery, sword and soul, steampunk, time travel, post-apocalyptic, and weird. It takes all poetic forms, plus one of its own called sci-fi cool. From nursery rhymes to Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, from Puff the Magic Dragon to Zombie Jamboree, we've all recited and sung speculative poetry. I will begin by introducing the wonderful Xioalin Spires. She steps into portals and reappears in such sights as New York, Hawaii, various parts of Asia, and elsewhere with her keyboard appendage attached. Her work appears in publications such as Clark's World, Analog, Strange Horizons, and anthologies of the strange and beautiful, makeshift, deep signal, and sharp and sugartooth. Her works have been selected for the year's top robot and AI stories and the year's top tales of space and time stories, with poetry nominated for the Riesling, Best of the Net, and Pushcart Awards. She's got a PhD in sociocultural anthropology and has conducted National Science Foundation funded research. Her multifaceted writing reflects her interest in food systems, ecology, technology, and society. She has mentored through the SFWA and has taught academic and creative writing to students at the college level. She enjoys painting, playing with meeples, convening around a board game or RPGs, and food with good folks. Welcome, DA.
Thanks so much for the introduction, and thanks for inviting me here on this beautiful day full of love. Um, the first poem I'd like to read is called Atomic Numbers. It first appeared in, oh dear, okay, first appeared in on Analog.
Analog, we see it.
Yep, in January, February 2018. And then it appeared, I'll have to put this right near my face, in Multiverse and Heartbeat of the Universe. So it was reprinted. Um, so this is called Atomic Numbers. We played Candyland with the periodic table of elements. You slid down to 79 AU. Australia, you asked, packing your bags? Gold, I respond, a ring I slid across your finger, precious metal for your circuit boards. Then we climbed 73 steps, and you were 6 again, pointing at monkeys, feeding the penguin all the carbon life forms held in the artificial zoo. Next, we rolled an 84, hurried down to 88 to the city hospital, and held hands as radium 223 alpha particles battled the cancer snaking around my great uncle's prostate, penetrated deep into his frail bones, as the luminous paints in his bedside clock blinked 226. We trekked to Cobalt to cobble alloys for the jet engine that we took to the farthest square, put on our masks and suits, and breathed the filtered air. Oganesson decayed around us, the fringes of our known elements, bulk of protons and neutrons, the Costco of particles, mass clump like a brain, formidable CXV 11 III. As we returned, we thought about our lives, the AG in our cupboards, 147 plates and bowls, forks and spoons, dishes and suppers from the accumulation of years. As we glide by iodine, the photographic film reveals our 53 myriad poses, your victory sign as you ruffle my hair, my arm clasped around your waist. To atomic number 10, when we first met, you were biting on a cigarette, searching for matches in front of a dump of a club. I offered you a light. Then you released from your lips a ringed puff, dissipated, whisked up towards the glow of the red sign, neon, with the letter R blinking. So sometimes the twisted script read Cosmic Heat, and sometimes it read Cosmic Heart. The luminous rouge of the sun flickering, reflected in your eyes, in your ruddy cheeks. It was cold. I shivered looking into the sky, thinking, how could something so prevalent in the universe be so rare on Earth? A noble gas, your noble chin. The next poem I'll read is called, it's a shorter poem. It's called A Nano Message. It was first published in Starline in winter 2019. So this is a nano message. Wipers disengage, hypnotic oscillations stop. Hydrophobic nanos regroup into a heart. A Valentine message from your self-driver. I do wish that my self-driver, will be wonderful and present hearts to me on the windshield. So the next poem is also a shorter poem, and this poem can be more widely interpreted. But for this reading, I'm interpreting this as for all the first dates out there. So for anyone who experienced a first date or can imagine what a first date is like. So this is called Two Glottal Stops, and it appears in Starline Winter 2023. The space between two glottal stops, perplexing. I raise my brows and type into my translator in a fury. There is no entry for that sound. The 6 eyes before me blink, waiting for my reply. So, um, I really like languages, and I speak a number of languages, some better than others, and I've taught languages at college levels and also tutoring. So I have a lot of fun with that. Okay, the next one is called High Fae Hot Pot. And actually, mine, I guess this will be a little shorter. This is a longer work, but all of mine will be shorter than the allotted amount. So we will have some time left over. So this is called High Fae Hot Pot. I'll just preamble and say that um, for Lunar New Year, I had three. The first time I actually um, put together a hot pot session, because usually it's another member of my family who does it. But I did it myself this time, and we had three hot pots going and food that lasted for like a week. I was eating hot pot for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So anyway, this was before that. I actually wrote this before that event, but it is reminding me now of the past Lunar New Year. This one is in Eye to the Telescope, the fungi issue, in April 2023, number 48. I was at H Mart and the Lunar New Year was just around the corner. I turned to my sis. Let's get some enoki, okay? Okay, she said, picking up the damp package, beads of droplets encased in plastic, brushing against the Flammulina filiformis. Long, pale, sinuous, its tendrils voluptuous. When New Year's Eve came rolling around, the steam rose from the scalding pot as we gathered around the table. We dumped in fish balls, napa, pork bones. We slit the bag of the silky shrooms, lopped off the base, shaking off sediments of the stardust medium, and piled it in. It bubbled, bubbled. I picked up one tendril with my chopstick and chomped. The slimy, silken texture, pallid, sinewy, felt so good on my lips. So slippery, so noodle-like. I slurped, hot, slick, lubricious. I felt my chopsticks wiggle, my limbs limp, my arms extending, lengthening, transforming my form, mushrooming. The alabaster moon shone a panel of light that landed on my bowl. I had a burning desire to reach that faraway moon, embrace it, envelop it in even paler flesh. The hardiness of the mushroom limbs I knew would pass through the glass of the window, would traverse the emptiness of space as it had been grown in the dark, fruiting in cool environments. I reached out, extending towards that arresting light. Flammulina filiformis in Latin, Jingzengu in Chinese, golden needle mushroom. I wanted to pierce its crater face like a pin popping a zit. Acupunctural bliss. I wanted to thread myself into its regolith. I reached out, extending towards that arresting light. Finally, my button-nosed extremities, my mushroom cap hands, convex, small, and bulbous, fingered the moon's surface. I wrapped myself around the rubble, round and round, like like bandaging a wound or swathing a mummy, twisting in traditional decorative Chinese knots, tying high fae boughs. I flirted, cuddled, squeezed. I gave it my all, my fleshy, fibrous hug, followed by my basidio sporic kiss. And that's what I have for you. I hope you enjoyed my loving embrace through food and fungi, and also my my AI self drivers and
Thank
examples
you.
and whatnot.
We
You're welcome.
did. We enjoyed it all.
Thank you.
I like the Costco of particles.
Thanks.
Like luminous rouge. I like glottal stops. The six eyes before me. That was like, woo! And then you end up hugging the moon. That's gorgeous. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Well, next is Miguel O. Mitchell, PhD. Another PhD. All these PhDs. Oh my goodness. He's a Black speculative poet, SFF author, and retired chemist. His poems have appeared in Amazing Stories, Dreams, and Nightmares, Eye to the Telescope, Sci-Fi Quest, like that publication, Scarlet Dragonfly Journal, Starline, and Year's Best African Speculative Fiction. His poem, Wine Tasting on the Planet Ufahamu, received honorable mention in the 2024 SFPA Poetry Contest. He has been co-editor of the 2023 Dwarf Stars Anthology for the best 1 to 10 line published poems, and will also be its editor in 2025. He's part of the Sauti Collective, writing poems for a shared universe based on African languages and cultural elements. He runs a monthly online speculative poetry workshop sponsored by the Baltimore Science Fiction Society, and has also run this as a training workshop in person and online at the Science Fiction and Fantasy Conventions, Capclave, and Balticon. And for some reason, this bio does not mention his newest fabulous collection called Surrealia, which I had the privilege of writing a bit about and was just so amazed by its joyous, transformative beauty. Welcome, Miguel.
Thank you, Akua. Thank you very much. So I have 5 poems to read. And in 4 of these poems, I like to be first person non-human. It's actually something I actually enjoy when I'm writing my poems. Getting that perspective lets me get into character in the verse. So here is my first one called Expressions of Love. When I twisted space-time's fabric, wringing out the blood life of your enemies. When I fashioned flesh-wrapped puppets, dancing to the warped tune of your fantasies. When I planted secret knowledge, blooming in the soil of your destinies. When I crafted clockwork covers, masking all the fond lies of your histories. When I gifted thoughtful starships, speaking in the barbed tongues of your frequencies. When I restrained selfish impulse, waiting to be one of your discoveries. Okay. The next one is called Avian Aptitude. Watch my harem fly. My 3 males court me with aerial acrobatics, soaring upwards in formation, then crisscrossing like our triple helix genes, flying apart with underwing flirtation, oil sheen rainbow elegance. From the ground, I look up. In appreciation, I undulate my vestigial wings, tool-using claws at the tips, gender-granted grace, attached to a gravity-bound body. 10 times the weight of a consort, too heavy for flight, grounded by mass and mastery. Matriarchal mentality. My eyes embrace the spectacle, my mind immersed in genetic calculus. Which mate will give me a fertile egg this season? 2 will fail. My body, my choice. Desire-linked development, neurochemical nano-judgment. Fertility, finality. I lean down and spread my rear tail feathers. My receptivity starts an air war. My cloud of paramours fly down. Each enters their chance at the descendant lottery. Too bad the game is rigged. I warble at the chosen one. He flits to my shoulder in cause and victory. The other 2 bow heads in defeat. I'll fly up to spy for dangers. Circle above me always. Maybe next season. I take out my med kit, salve my champion's wounds. He doesn't understand. his mind a cage of fierce, protect, proud, cunning. Deeper thoughts are locked out. I walk to my starship as he hunts, returns to my shoulder, a bloody present in his claws, waits until I have my fill. He gorges on the scraps. We will travel together. Alien skies for him, trade talks for me. I will adorn him with a force field collar. His claws will burn with the heat of suns. His beak will pierce the armor of empires. And when our progeny emerges from its shell, and he feeds it first, as is tradition, the shell of his mind will crack. The sharp edge of transcendence will emerge. My warrior mate will think beyond urges. Wonderment will fever his brain. But I will sing him to health, back to the cool safety of instinct. So, my next poem is Unsoulmates. I don't do a lot of horror, but this is clearly horror. Her skin is the dripping wax puddle of a well-used candle. Her eyes glow green with mischief. Her razor-toothed smile bites down on my resistance. Her lightning-frizzed hair reeks of ozone and oleander, the fragrance of love. When her bat wings flap, the night pumps through me, a river of dark desire. Oh, my unglamored succubus, let your true form enwrap me, the adorned drapes of a plane crash at a summer picnic, the tapestry of a field soaked with innocent blood. Look what I brought you, bound and screaming, a date night repast. We'll share his beating heart tartare. Carper tang and fear is all the seasoning we need. All right, this one is called You Like Flowers. I'll sprout a bouquet, my head crowned with orchestral fragrance. Each bloom plays its part, olfactory chords of a petal symphony. When you arrive, they're well-tuned and anxious, all bitter notes sweetened. Your tender hand reaches, crescendo swells in scent major. But you do not pluck them. We lie on the loam entwined. Your skin smells of consent. Our cells merge into one being, the fourth movement, the end of loneliness, the perfume of contentment. And lastly is homeostasis. The root-bound churn of xylem and phloem, the airborne freedom of the winged ones, the oneness of 1,000 bound to a queen, the living jewels of the ocean depths, the bite and the slash, the cry and the snarl, the suckle and the snuggle, absorption and renewal, the turning of the wheel. These the world spirit knows. So, when you breed beyond bountiful, become a plague among her charges, on a second earth, your far-flung trash bin, this sentient planet gives you a gift. It comes wrapped like a curse that looks like you, but feeds on you. Your imagination fueled its becoming, its nocturnal nature, its hypnotic stare. Sensible sanguivores, one for every 1,000. Colors of the herd. Ah, can you feel the balance? Isn't that love? That's it.
Oh, thank you, Miguel. Wow. Wow. There's a couple I would love to read on the page as well. The avian aptitude had my mind blown, totally mind blown. And this last one too. Oh my goodness. How I love how we reconsider interactions and relations. Oh, and it's me. It's my turn, I guess. So, a bit about me, Akua Lezli Hope. I'm a grandmaster of fantastic poetry. Thank you, Science Fiction and Fantasy Poetry Association. I'm a paraplegic creator and wisdom seeker who creates poems, patterns, stories, music, sculpture, adornments, and peace. And while I mentioned that I create in visual art, I just want to point out that the background of Miguel's background, that's one of his paintings. And that Xioalin Spires, I got to see her also making art. So I delighted to be in this company of people who make and create in other media and spheres. I've been in print since 1974, and my collections include Embouchure, poems on jazz and other musics, which won the Writer's Digest Book Award, and Otherwares, speculative poetry, which won an Elgin Award. I'm a Cave Canem Fellow, and my honors include the National Endowment of the Arts and multiple New York Foundation of the Arts fellowships, an SFPA Contest Award First Place, a Reisling Award, a New York State Council on the Arts grants for Afrofuturist, speculative, pastoral poetry, and a 2024 New York State Council on the Art grant for disability poetics. And I'm particularly interested in speculative disability poetry. So please check the website. If you've got something to share, I'm looking to publish it. I created the Speculative Sundays Poetry Reading Series. I edited the record-breaking sea-themed issue of Eye to the Telescope, and I edited Non Bono, an anthology of speculative poetry by BIPOC creators, the first ever of its kind. I've got stuff to read to you. And these are all new. I started to go back and just said, let's read some new work. This is Whenever We Make Planetfall. And whenever we make Planetfall, I don't know if I hold it before my face, you can see it. Yes, you can sort of see it. It's my postcard, my Valentine's Day postcard for this year. We began as friends in youth infantry, training for wars that were yet to be, sharing bunk life with casual intimacies and showers to save water when not too dirty. Your scent, distinct for its flowery notes, remains in your protective vest and flex armor coat. From tea you drink, artisanal, bespoke. In practice together, our fighting skills grew. You kept pace with me when I surpassed you. Each portal raid challenge only drew me closer to a feeling sweet, deep, trembling, new, that through this soul journey together we'd win. For in this incarnation, our bright flames are twinned. We'll surmount whatever galactic conflict we land in, wherever we make planetfall. First contact translator. I fell in love with the translator for its use of words, each building worlds of new understanding, concepts I had yet to learn. To come is to come in love. To go is to depart with love. To arrive is to arrive loved. And love is their closest word, our closest word. to their state of being and ways of doing, an infection I was the first to catch. My will melted and reforged, floating daily on conscious clouds, each footfall arising in another dimension, total acceptance and inclusion in a realm beyond ours, within ours, leaving me speechless. And when I spoke my need, my proclivities, translator manifested a form I could caress, a body to spur my bliss to everness. I send this note from a time without name and hope this contact's contagion will reach and you will soon feel much of the same. First contact, a translator. I've been working on a collection of poems called Black Orpheus and Other Poems. And so this next one is from that collection. And it's Black Orpheus 3, Took Him Back. Took him back once. Though I had been warned by Lot's wife, do we even say her name? She had to look back. She had to wash clothes there, barter at the market, scrub the children, prepare the meals, build the stove. She was the homemaker, and behind her there was heat and the flame searing acrid scent of burning memory. Though I had been warned by Orpheus, let the dead be dead. Let them wait for you. If they will or can or won't, don't try rescue or reunion except in dream. Though, like Big O, I wanted to smell the peonies wafting from fresh, wet flesh that would then shift to vanilla, cinnamon clove, or mystic milkweed flowering. When I tasted the sea salt of him, heard my name in his conjuring voice, his zabadaba riffs as his fingers stroked guitar strings, and he sucked on the rounded triangle of pick, priming before he plucked and strummed me. Why we enter hell before its time and glance back as we depart to be certain and lose. I'll end with this one. Until. I said words to you until I didn't have to, until my breath, sigh, smile, or posture said everything. How the tea required reheating, when to reuse the bag, wipe the table, wash the dishes, gather or fold clothes from the dryer, when to place them in sun, when we had a yard and a clothesline, so many actions of love in the scent of sheets from that time of grass, long gone, Afro dandelions, breezes only hinted at in fading, black and white, when delicious words were still used and needed, measuredly dispensed as fig Newtons, rationed to preclude tummy aches. No hyperboles of intrusion then, as all were greeted with an offer of something to eat or drink. For all are very little, There was mostly more than enough. An hour before we will be free, wearing Pleiadian star suits and eat nothing but light until. Thank you for listening.
I enjoyed your translator and your Fig Newtons. The translator, I really want one, but I'm a little bit worried if I piss off the translator, what would happen?
Thank you.
Love them all. They're wonderful.
Thank you.
I'd like to eat nothing but light. That would be great.
And next, our last but far from least wondrous poet is Herb Kauderer, who's a retired factory worker, truck driver, who grew up to become a tenured associate professor of English at Hilbert College. Here's another one. His doctoral dissertation and both his master's theses were related to speculative writing. He's a fifth generation Buffalonian who currently lives there in the northeast corner of Lake Erie and often walks the waterfront. A favorite hobby is getting physicists drunk so he can understand them. Yeah, sure. We don't believe that. You understand them anyway. Herb has written film, drama, nonfiction, and short fiction, but is most noted for his poetry. He has over 2,500 poems accepted. I was just like, I thought I was cool when I would say 5. I don't even say it anymore. 2,500. Many of them gathered into 23 books and chapbooks with more on the way. His writing has won the Critters Reader Award, Asimov's Award, the, I don't know how to say this, but I'll try, Iwa Panoma Sonnet Contest, the World Con Poetry Slam, and the Sycamore Award. And he's received 3rd place for the Elgin Award and Dwarf Stars Award. Over the last 33 years, I'm older than him though, 33 of his poems have been nominated for the Riesling Award. He's received many other kind accolades, including honorable mention in the year's best fantasy and horror. Bravo. Herb has 4 children, including writer, novelist, Shannon, and is it Yisalt? Yisalt, thank you. I should have checked. The main theme of his writing is society lies. Oh, don't we know that? And he believes it may lie about love more than anything else. Welcome, Herb.
Thank you. Al, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I have the audience on my right monitor and my script on the senator monitor as close to the camera as I can get it. Get my voice up. There are a fair number of short poems in my reading. I'm going to roll right through them. So to help you transition from poem to poem, I'll just make this gesture when I'm finishing a poem. And just to get you in the mood, I'll note that behind my camera is a table full of cactus and succulents, and outside their window is a foul Parisian courtyard, where by the light of fake gas lamps I can see the neighbor's building balcony with its wrought iron railing and the black mansard roof pasted with snow. It's a romantic setting for a winter spec poe reading, so I'll begin. Light values. Moonlight, the cold, colorless reflection of the sunlight that gives us life. All our fictions and illusions tell us moonlight is romantic. What then does that say of romance? Romance denied, a cinquain. Parted lovers pine on opposite sides of glass. Quarantine zone sign reads, zombies only. A twisted certainty, sonnet. Young Danny lived on rice and banked his pay, refusing all romance because he had a twisted certainty his true love's day had not come. Friends called him mad. He made the final payment to Cold Can, the Cryogenics Institute, and killed himself. In 90 years, he breathed again to find himself imprisoned in the stilled and bland rooms of a mental institution, the only place for a suicide victim. The doctors argue over the solution, assigning Nurse Francine to stay with him. The doctors have no clue that Danny will find love that grew as he lay frozen still. Team enrollment, a butterfly Fibonacci. All the books and movies showed cryogenic sleep as a formal scientific process, each subject alone, death posed in a stark sleep cell. But sleep comes in as many flavors as flowers, and the patient psychologists eventually convince the powers that be, and so we climb into our bed to embrace for 3 centuries, not knowing if we'll live or perish together from our old bet. From the cradle to the grave, we are never touched enough. If this is our final embrace, let it be. And if we awake to a new day, and we will have touched flesh for 300 years, let the new world see us as complete as one. Claiming territory, horror coup. Valentine's Day imp puts teeth marks in chocolates, laughs as you get blamed. Awkward ritual, Hyben. Chains and spiked collars were her style, and no one knew that deep inside his good boy persona, that was the sort of excitement he craved. Their first date was a horror movie followed by dancing late into the night at a goth rave. The movie did nothing for him. The music caused him physical discomfort. But her presence was intoxicating, and he was ready to tolerate the rest to be with her. All his studies of the classics taught him that true love came with commitment. After their first night in bed, he was ready to commit for eternity. All that was left was the awkward ritual of going to meet her parents. Epigraph. Red flames in her eyes, her parents' house door opens, the stench of sulfur. Love Among the Stars, Tonka. He watches rockets, sweetheart on her way above, gone for 12 months for her tour on space station, in sight and untouchable. The theft of yesterday's lover. I was happy living in the past. The lover I could remember yesterday is gone now, destroyed by your certainty and your brain tinkering machine. Was it so wrong for me to turn away from the prescribed obsession with living in the now, to dwell in then? Now I have a gap in my memory, and I know what used to live there, but I know nothing about her except that she made me happy. In all your psychological and medical wizardry, what do you have to fix that? Words, dead or alive, Tonka. These words on paper, charcoal scratchings from dead hands. You were once my love. 21 years gone, you speak, a ghost still pacing my heart. Failed space colonists. Bad marriages make failed space colonists. What creatures are we that we can endure such change? Vanessa Cardui, the painted lady butterfly, has migrated farther than any other macrolepidopteran. The orange and brown explorers have traveled from southern Europe, across Africa, and back until stowing away on shuttles to the International Space Station, then stealing aboard the cyclers to Luna and Mars and Ceres, learning the joy and power of low-gravity flight. Are humans so persistent as a butterfly? How can you and I, emerging from the chrysalis of divorce and our forced return to Earth, become whole humans? Do we have wings that no one else can see? Will they fly us to Europe and across Africa? Will we pollinate tulips and hyacinths to compensate for failing to populate space? Or will we be immobilized in a killing jar of ethyl acetate to be pinned down on a spreading board in a display with other failed colonists as warning to other couples applying to emigrate? Romantic complications. Symbiotes in love, hate each other's host life forms, plot homicide divorces. A desert of needs, Hyben. Across the dunes of Barandoria, Galadoria leads her entourage, abiding the tribal custom that a chiefess will show her rank by dragging a score of servants with her across the killing deserts between the biodome settlements. After 6 rotations of walking at night and sleeping in cooling tents by day, the parley is reached. Her counterpart, Melidoria, is already well situated, taking an unfair volume of the shade from the East Rock. Balorn is among his tribe working outside, tending to the sand sleds that transport essential supplies to and from each trade meeting. Galadoria thought nothing special of Balorn when they first met as teenagers, each then members of an entourage, tending an older chiefess. She has no recollection of when his presence started making her short of breath. She did not need the reminder from the tribal elders that her settlement needs fresh genes to stir the mix. A day no longer passes without Galadoria's imagination mixing the genes of Balorn and herself. Negotiations ensue. Each chiefess tries to fill her settlement's needs. Melidoria pries 2 medics and their herbs for her dome. Galadoria answers her greatest need by trading them for a water maker to replace dead Welcorn who served so long. Grain cooks are traded for root growers, local minerals for local plants. In the end, Balorn stays with Melidoria's entourage, though his silent gaze suggests he wishes he were going home with Galadoria. Another year before they will see each other. The desert pulls them apart once again. Epilogue. Putting first things first. Thousands have lived without love, none without water. W.H. Auden. And no, we absolutely didn't plan this, but Akua was addressing Orpheus in one of her poems, and this is a letter to his wife, Eurydice. So a letter to Eurydice. So close! You were so close to making it! You were faithful to your true love, Orpheus, and so when Aristeus pursued you, you fled, stepping on a viper whose sting killed you instantly. Did you mean to? Were you sacrificing life for faithfulness? And Orpheus sang his way into the underworld to take you back to life. It was almost the stuff of romantic legend. He got past Kerberos, negotiated Hades with song and speech, and won the right to walk you back to the overworld and life, so long as he never looked back. And you were so close to making it. Orpheus made it into the light of the overworld before his fears and anxiety overcame him, and he looked back to where you stood, with one foot still in the underworld. And the pact was null, and all you could say was, farewell. And so you were left to wait in Hades for decades for Orpheus to finally die and join you, which is why I want to know, did you mean to step on that viper? Were you braver than Orpheus, who could not make the same sacrifice to join you? And would you do it again, knowing how it all turned out? Be careful in your answer. After all, this is the stuff of romantic legend. I'll be looking forward to your letter. Thanks.
Oh my
I
God.
love
Oh my gosh. Wow. What fun, Herb. I, I always see the love in your poems. And almost every time I've gotten to read and review your work, it is so always full of love. So it's very interesting to me to see what you chose that you've identified as the love poems among your work. And the Galadoria one, I was just like, I've heard that before. I remember that story. I remember that one. It was, it's delightful to revisit some, but oh, I love your humor, your wry humor, and your acerbicness sometimes. And it's such a treat that to hear that Orpheus poem also, because it's like, yeah, I've been pulling that apart. That whole discussion, to me, there's so much there to explore. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Delightful as always to hear all of you. Oh, DA, happy new birth. Miguel, stay well. Herb, don't get snowed in. And thank you everyone who's attended our reading tonight. If there are any questions from the audience, we've got just a couple of minutes, or if anyone would like to talk about something new that's coming up. And I will talk about something new that's coming up, not for me, but for everyone. I sincerely hope you participate in the first annual Great Speculative Poetry Postcard Swap, where you are invited to create a postcard. You could do it by hand, you could do it commercially, you can do it on your printer. Create a postcard of your own speculative poetry and art, should you choose, and send 5 of them and get 4 back. More information can be found at www.speculativepoetry.com. So that's easy enough to look at. Speculativepoetry.com, look it up there. And I'm checking the chat to see if there were any questions. Any questions? There don't have to be. It's just, if there was something burning. So I will return to saying to the other poet readers this evening, is there something else you would like to announce and share with the audience? Herb?
I have a trade paperback dues probably around July called The Book of Worlds from Diminuendo Press. There's another
The Book of Worlds. I'm sorry.
Book of Worlds, yes.
The Book of Worlds. Oh, sounds wonderful. Is it poetry?
It is. It is. So
congratulations. In July.
Tentatively, hopefully. The last one from Diminuendo Press came out in July, so I like to think we're on that schedule.
Congratulations. I look forward to it. I will definitely buy it because I dig your work. Miguel, I saw that you unmuted.
Oh, I was just going to say congratulations to her.
Thank you.
Yay.
Well, and Miguel's got his new thing going as well, Specpoverse.
Oh, Specpoverse.
That's true. Yes.
Yes.
Specpoverse, International Journal of Speculative Poetry, is launched. It's accepting submissions and it's going really well. So I'm very excited about it.
We're excited too. Thank you. Thank you for undertaking this, a new publication. And how often will it come out? Is it annual?
3 times a year.
Wow, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yay, thank you. And DA?
I have some poetry out now, and Eye to the Telescope, the non-binaries edition, and I have some upcoming in Starline, and also I will be editing an aliens theme for Eye to the Telescope guest editing. That's coming up, I think, maybe 2026. I don't know. I think they told me a date and I can't remember specifically, but if you got alien poetry that's unpublished and you want to submit it, send them my way at some point in the future.
Oh, I love this notice of publications. Yay. And you're in non-binaries. I haven't read non-binaries yet because it's you know, it's that time of year. It's riceling time of year.
It's
I-
totally that time of year.
Hey, it's that time of year. All of you who are involved in speculative poetry know what I'm talking about. And all of you who are not, please find out by checking out the Science Fiction and Fantasy Poetry Association, any one of the poets here. And you can also find a lot of stuff at speculativepoetry.com. I thank you all for being with us, for sharing joy, for thinking about love in the speculative realm. I wish you all peace, health, safety, and happiness. Be well and good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Hey,